everyone, and welcome to our webinar entitled Forecasting in Collaboration with Your Customers, sponsored by VISEO. My name is Hélène Sigran, and I'm the Marketing Director for Colibri, and I'll be your moderator today. If you have technical difficulties hearing me or hearing us, please let us know via the chat section. But during this webinar, you'll learn how you can plan sales forecasts with your customers, and you will discover how it has direct impact on your operational costs. Today's presentation is divided into three main parts. Nicolas Kumar will discuss best practices and principles related to sales forecasting, as well as the genesis for Colibri and its key benefits. Mehdi Karab will show you a live demonstration of Colibri and how you can do sales forecasts with your customers. And finally, we will finish with a Q&A session. On that note, if you have questions during the presentation, we encourage you to submit them using the chat function on your screen. And you can select my name, Hélène, H-E-L-E-N-E, to send them, and we'll answer those questions at the end of the presentation. But before we get started, let me introduce our speakers. Nicolas Kumar, Director of Business Development for VISEO in Asia, has 15 years of experience in organization and supply chain optimization in retail and industry activities, and is an expert in demand management, sales forecasting, S&OP, and ERP systems. Until 2014, he was the director of the supply chain optimization activities for the VISEO Group. Early this year, he became the director of the business development in Asia, based in Singapore and Hong Kong. Nicolas is also the managing director of Colibri. Mehdi Karab, senior consultant in information systems, joined VISEO Supply Chain Optimization business unit over 5 years ago. He contributed to the evolution of supply chain tools at one of the largest French companies in the luxury industry. He also led several implementation projects for clients in the retail, manufacturing, and the food processing industry. When VISEO decided to develop and create its own sales forecasting software, Mehdi conceptualized the solution. Today, he is an expert of the product, and as such, he leads all product improvements and the design of new features. With that, we are ready to begin, and I'd like to turn the call over to Nicolas Kumar.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm pleased to be with you today. So at first, I'd like to give you a brief overview of Colibri, the genesis for this product, and its main values. During my tenure as a director of the supply chain with VISEO, I oftentimes receive requests from small and medium-sized companies interested in optimizing their sales forecast process. Typically, these companies didn't have a significant budget, but were really ready to move fast with the purchase and implementation of a solution. Knowing the type of solution available on the market, I knew it would be difficult for them to find a product that would fit their needs functionally and financially. In fact, when one looks at the solutions available, one realizes that it costs around 50K for licensing and another 50K for implementation fees. To deploy this type of solution, an average 6 months is necessary, and on top, the clients have to pay an additional cost of 20% maintenance fee for a year. So, needless, with a 100K budget minimum and 6 months time frame for implementation, this solution didn't meet our customers' needs. Therefore, they kept on using Excel for their forecasts. We saw that in VISEO as an opportunity and a business need to fill, therefore, developed Colibri. So I will introduce you now in the next slide the business issue or customer meets today, and after how such a tool can answer to this. At first, I will introduce to you the blue whip effect. In fact, Colibri is a cloud solution, a cloud-based solution, and for a cloud-based solution, one of the key points can be to work in a collaboration model. It can be within a company or between different companies. You have here an example of a retailer that can have sales that could be regular, but toward the communication between each actor of the supply chain, as there is no collaboration and real-time communication, each supply chain manager or forecaster will take some decision, and without the visualization on what will happen next. And each decision can make stocks, fluctuations, variation in the production or the delivery plan. And at least this blue whip effect is a typical phenomenon in supply chain that leads to dramatic amplification of the demand variation. We can ask who is affected by the blue whip effect. So it can be, as you can see on the model, the manufacturing sector, but not only them. It can be the wholesaler or different assembly line. All organizations, in fact, that have customers and suppliers may be confronted to this kind of problem and can have some issue in the stock or the customer relationship. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay. In such situation, what are the consequences, in fact? So the consequence you have on this effect is, for sure, to have too much inventory for products that maybe the market doesn't need, or for products that are becoming obsolete after a certain quantity of time. So with all the impacts in terms of capital investment and logistic services. You can have too a loss of sales. If you can't forecast and have the visualization of what will need your customer in the next step, maybe you will choose the wrong products and create a stock for the products number A, and maybe have not enough stock for the product number B. So in a collaboration system toward different organizations, as you communicate, you can have the visualization of what the next step needs. For sure, when a customer is not delivered when he asks you a product, you will have a bad image for them, and at final, a bad customer service level with impact on your company's reputation. At final, tension and pressure within the different part of the supply chain, maybe some penalties sometimes. The origin of this, for sure, it's inaccurate information between different actors, forecast not in line with actual sales, lack of sales information, lack of transparency between these different actors in the supply chain, and maybe sometimes different goals between different actors. And so what we consider is the collaboration, that is the subject we want to push to you now, is a way to reconcile everybody in the supply chain and to have a global best service level for delivering the final customer at the lowest cost. So next, after this business issue presentation, let me introduce quickly the key value of our product, that is Colibri. So Colibri, first of all, we wanted this tool to be accessible for all budgets. Today, we can consider it's at least 3 times cheaper than all the other competitors. So it's a very cheap and a cost-effective solution. And second part, I told you before at the introduction that a project on forecast system, for example, could be 6 months. we wanted to have a really short implementation. And we was considering that it was possible to have best practices that you can just input in your system. Today, we can implement Colibri in your configuration in 1 week, for example, and we can build a prototype with your data in less than 1 day. Third key value is the collaborative aspect. As I told you before, bullwhip effect and lack of communication can create some issue. So we consider collaboration that is allowed now by the cloud is really a key aspect of the performance today. Moreover, the market today are really fluctuant in consideration of the different countries, and the range of products are larger and larger, and the life cycle of the product are shorter and shorter. So the past of a product on the market is becoming hard to use in order to estimate the future using algorithm. So the collaboration is really a way to have a best forecast plan in terms of quality. Next point is, as we want the tool to be the most collaborative as possible, we want the most people to use it. So we create it really intuitive and easy to use. So today we can say for a training on a key user for Colibri, in 2 hours you can masterize 90% of the tool. For other tools on the market, you will need 2 or 3 days to have such a result. In parallel, we developed it on mobility aspects, on iPhone and iPad, on smartphone and tablets. So you can, a commercial sales guy can have his information on historic or forecast plan when he's talking on the customer side, for example. At final, we created a jump and start mode in which you can test for free the solution with your data for a couple of weeks. And at the end of these 2 weeks, decide if you are interested to buy the product or not. So you can test in a real condition Colibri for 2 weeks without any cost, and you can decide after if you want to go towards this solution. Maybe we can go to the next slide. So I will be really quick on this slide, but this is the kind of figures typically we can see in a company that could implement a forecast system. You can, and we have some testimony on company that can win in terms of money, reducing inventories, reducing obsolete products at the end of a season, for example, or raise the service level toward reducing some shortage cost. Here, typically for a company that has a turnover around $200 million for a year, with a margin, let's say 15%. You know, you can know on the slide that you can win more than $1.5 million in cost saving. So this is a global example. It can't reflect any situations, but we can do some analysis in your configuration to have some estimation on what you can win. So that's all for this slide. Maybe if several of you want to go deeper on this analysis, we can have some talk after. I will now let Mehdi introduce the tool and the demonstration.
Thank you very much, Nicolas. Good morning and good afternoon, everybody. As Hélène said before, my name is Mehdi Karab, and I'm the expert of the product Colibri. I'm going to show you a live demo of Colibri, but just before starting, I just wanted to set the context of this demonstration to illustrate a classic and a concrete case study. So in the demo I'm going to show you, I will be working as a central planner for a beer producer. So all the products are related to the beer industry and manufacturing beer. We have different family of products: dark beer, lager beer, white beer, and prestige beer. And in my demo, I will be in charge of selling those beer to different resellers located all over the world, such as in France, Belgium, and in UK. So now, if you don't mind, I will switch directly to Colibri. So as Nicolas said previously, Colibri is a 100% web-based application. So all we need to connect to Colibri is a browser compatible, such as Google Chrome, Firefox, or Internet Explorer. In my screen, as you can see here, it is the main screen of Colibri. I'm connected as Mehdi Karab with my own login and own password. And as you can see on the top of the screen, there are different possibilities, different functionality that represent what we say as the best practice in the forecasting process. As the purpose of this webinar is not to show you all the tools, I'm going to focus only on specific part of this process, which is the collaboration. So first of all, I will go to the forecast screen. My purpose will be to present you a dedicated screen in Colibri for all the collaboration, and also to show you how intuitive and how easy it is to try to work in Colibri. So just first to illustrate the Colibri, I will explain you quickly how it's working. In Colibri, we have two different dimensions in that case. One dimension related to product and another dimension related to customer. On each dimension, you have different level of working. For instance, the lowest level on the product hierarchy is the item. I can also decide to work at an aggregated level, which is the family level, or at the highest level, which represents all product. The same hierarchy exists also for customer. The lowest level is my end customer. I can work at an aggregated level, which will be country, for instance, and the highest level, which will be all country. If I set my cursor, if I set all the 2 bullet points at the lowest level of my 2 dimensions and I click validate, what's going to happen is to display to me all the couple product time customer existing in my database. So if I click here, I will select one item sold to one customer. In that case, it's my product Crazy 8, which is sold to my customer 6. On this specific screen, you will see 2 different information. In red, it's corresponding to the sales history, so the historical data, my actual data. And in light green, it is a forecasted calculated by Colibri. I can also display the archive of my previous forecast I have done. In Colibri, all the information are displayed in 2 different ways. One is graphical, so such like this, and one is like in Excel view. So you can see the information available here below in a grid view. In Colibri, it is very intuitive and it's easy to compare data. So here I have selected one product sold to one customer. Colibri allows you to select multiple data at the same time. So here, what I'm going to do is to select the same product, Crazy 8, but sold at 3 different customers, to 3 different customers. And what will Colibri do is to display all the 3 forecasting curves at the same time. So as you see in Colibri, it's very easy to display information and to analyze it. For instance, for the beer industry, it's very important to be able to enhance and to measure the cannibalism effect of different products sold to different customers. Also in Colibri, what you can do is to work not only at the product level, not only to work at the lowest level, but also to work at an aggregate level. So for instance, here what I'm going to do is to display information at the family level and aggregated at the country level. So here, for instance, what I'm going to do is to display my historical data and my forecast calculated in Colibri at an aggregated level. So here, dark beer represents my family, and France is the country where all my customers belonging to France are displayed. I can also display multiple curves, but this is not the purpose of here. So let's go back to a specific product sold to a specific customer. As I said before, I am a central planner. I will be able, as in any company, and in the tool, to manage my forecast. So for instance, I will want to change the forecast calculated by Colibri. To do that, it's very easy. I can either do a drag and drop on the curve, so as I am doing here, or I can also change it manually directly within the grid. So it's more an Excel style here. I can input a specific value, increase the forecast of 10% of any whatever I want to do, multiplied by 2. So here, what I'm doing here is, as a forecast central planner, I'm changing my forecast alone. I'm not doing it asking anyone. So here, this is the basic way, and I'm working independently. What I can do in Colibri, and as we said before, what is important is the collaboration in Colibri. So what I can do also is to select one collaborator. I will select, sorry, one customer. And I will ask my customer to do the forecast within the tool. Sorry, let me just see. I will, just to illustrate this, I have created one user access in the tool, customer A, and this customer, it's my customer, and I give him access to the tool to implement forecasts. So I will do a very specific case. I will select my customer 2, who has access in the tools to Colibri. Click on the small button here, which is Ask for Collaboration, and I will select the user who is in charge of my customer 2. I will select a deadline within the tools and ask him to join and to enhance the forecast. To do so, Colibri will do two things. First, my customer 2 will receive an email asking him to connect in the tools, and also directly within Colibri will receive one small mail in the box here asking him to work and to update the forecast. Just to illustrate this collaborative process, please let me show you how it's working when I connect to the specific account. So what I'm doing here is just to switch from my sales forecast or planner to my customer account here. So here what I need to do is just to connect within the tools with my login and password. So now you can see here I'm connected as customer A. And also on the top of the screen, it's much more limited. Only one action is available. As I said, here on the left corner, you can see that the central planner asked me to modify and to update the forecast. So what I only need to do is to click on the specific link within the mail, and automatically Colibri will display and show me the corresponding article and my specific customer. So here, what I have to do as a customer, I will just update the forecast because my supplier asked me to do it, and save it, validate it. In Colibri, you can of course use comments to enhance the forecast you have done, just to explain why you have inputted, for example, 10 or 100, because it's due to a promotion effect. So everything you are typing in Colibri is shared and stored within the tools. So now, let me just switch back to the central planner account, and you will see if I just update my page, you will see that automatically the forecast inputted by my customer is available here on my screen. So if you want, I can just hide some lines, and here you will see a new line appears on my screen, which is customer A forecast. And here, if I go down, I will be able to see in line what is the forecast inputted by my customer. So as you have seen, it's very easy to ask someone in the tools and to update a forecast. Just to explain and before moving to the next step, here in this step, the purpose is to ask everyone you want to update the forecast. So anybody who has an access in Colibri will be able to update the forecast. I don't remember if you mentioned it, but within Colibri you can have up to 50 users with the same account, with the same project. So you don't have to buy any more license if you want to include up to 50 per different user. Once you have asked all your customers to update the forecast, it's really up to you to decide whether or not you want to keep this forecast as the forecast to be considered as a final forecast, or you can just keep it as an information. So to decide whether or not you want to use this forecast, your customer forecast, as the final forecast, you have a specific process which is called consensus. In this specific screen, the purpose is to select, I am still the central forecaster, is to select whether or not I'm going to take into account the forecast to establish the forecast of my customer, to establish the final forecast. So in this specific screen, you can see the historical data, a new line which is called consensus, a a gray corridor representing all the different inputs that have been done in the tools. And in this specific screen, what I'm going to do is to show you how we can decide to take into account my customer forecast or not. So here you can see that we have different months: April, May, June, July, August. I can see the raw forecast, which is the statistical forecast calculated by Colibri. I can see the consensus, which represents the final forecast that will be the forecast archived in Colibri. Different information, such as the archive, my previous archive of forecast, or it could be also another imported data, such as the order books or anything else. And on the bottom of the page, the contribution. So here I can see that my customer A has input forecast. What I can do very easily is to decide to take the forecast of my customer only for the very short term. So in this specific case, what I'm going to do is to select only the 4 months ahead and decide that the forecast will be finally equal to the forecast of my customer. And if I click validate, I ask the tools to say that my consensus will be based on the forecast for the 4 months will be the forecast of my customer. For instance, what I can do also for the mid-term horizon is to decide to select a specific forecast or to force the forecast. Okay. And I will save it.
And you can apply some percentage, like to cover some promotion or something like that.
Yes, exactly. You're right. I could have, you see, when I selected multiple cells or only one, if I click on menu, I can either input a percentage, plus, minus, do a multiplication, or just set force a normal value to be equal to the value I put here.
Okay.
And the rest, if I don't do anything, if as a user I don't do anything, by default the forecast will be equal to the statistical forecast. So what I have done here very easily is to select for a specific product and a specific customer different forecast origin to do a consensus. So here, as I said, the 4 first months are equal to my customer forecast. The 3 other months are what is the central planner decide, and the end of the horizon is equal to the statistics. So this is one way of doing the forecast in Colibri very easily by taking into account many contributions, and especially the forecast of your customer. Just to mention, as I said before, if you do monthly forecast, for instance, at the end of the month, this is the consensus forecast that will be archived. In Colibri, we will archive up to 12 different game of archive, and this will be very useful to measure the accuracy of the forecast. So just to finish my presentation, I will go to what we call reliability analysis, because it's very interesting to be able to ask user and to create a good forecast. But what is more important is to measure if this forecast has been accurate or not. So directly within Colibri, we have established a specific screen. We can say a reporting screen, allowing you to see how the forecast was accurate or not comparing to the real sales. So here in my screen, you can see that I have decided to show my forecast accuracy at an aggregated level. So aggregating all the product and differentiated by customer. So here you can see that I have 7 different customers, and I will be able to see each forecast accuracy of my customer. In this screen, it is very user-friendly and very easy to use. You can see that we have 6 different charts here, corresponding to 6 different archive of forecast. So to select one archive, it's very easy. I just click on the number I want to select. In that specific case, what I'm doing here is to select the forecast that have been done 6 months ago, and I'm able to compare the historical data and the prevision I have done. So very easily, I can see if my forecast was accurate or not according to what I have decided. And as you see, it's a very easy screen to use and very dynamic. You can do your forecast accuracy at any level. So this is the last thing I wanted to show you in Colibri in terms of live demo. If you don't mind, please let me just switch back to the PowerPoint presentation. And to conclude with this, so what I have shown you during this demo, a quick recap, was the ability to select for one forecast, to select multiple sources to do one forecast. So for instance, what I have shown you is the possibility to select the customer forecast on a short-term horizon, at the mid-term horizon, the central planner forecast, and at the long-term horizon, statistical forecast. What you also have seen during this presentation is that the information that are shared in Colibri are updated in real time and can be shared very easily, so that all the actors of your supply chain can easily have access to the information or your information. And to finish it, the last point is that you can ask occasionally your collaborator to go to Colibri. It's not an obligation. If you need some time to ask punctually or to ask occasionally one user, you can do it very easily within the tools, and your user will receive an email to go directly in the tool. So it's quite straightforward to use Colibri.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Mehdi. Thank you for the live demonstration. We are entering now the Q&A portion of the webinar. As a reminder, don't hesitate to submit your questions to our speakers via the chat function on your screen, and we'll answer them as they come. But let's start with one quick question, Mehdi, if I may. Okay. Let's assume that you have several customers that, how do you showed us an example with adding one customer to give access to one customer. How would you do that if you have, let's say, 20 customers, and how much would that cost me?
Okay, this is let's say a typical question that our customer asks us. It is very straightforward to create an account within Colibri because the application is based, is very user straightforward. So what you will have to do if you have 20 customers is to create first 20 accounts, so you will be able to do it by yourself. You will not have to ask VISEO or our consultant to do it. You will be able to do it by yourself very easily. And in terms of cost, it will cost you nothing, because when you buy Colibri, you will have up to 50 different users available. So in other words, if you are alone using Colibri, or you want to ask 50% to go within the tool, it will cost you the same price. So okay. It's quite easy and quite cheap, let's say.
Great, thank you. Another question just came in. Is there a limit on the number of products you can add, and or the level of hierarchy?
Okay, so to be really clear on that point, we can in the demo I show you, we have 2 dimensions. So the tool is supporting up to 4 different dimensions. So instead of only customer and product, you could have also a collection dimension on each dimension. So for instance, my product dimension, I can have up to 12 different levels. So I can have first level, which is articles, another aggregate level, which is family, and so on. So 12 different levels by dimension. And in terms of number of products itself, it's not, let's say, it's difficult to figure. What is important is much more the number of combination item times customer you have. This is more the critical point. And today we have some customers that are easily around 100,000 combination between customer and item combination. So it really depends on your data, but yeah, you can have, our customers usually up to, let's say, 5,000 items. And it's very easy. And another point which is very interesting with this solution, just to conclude on this question, is that because it's a cloud application, if we need more, let's say, more power, more storage, it will be very easy to upgrade, to update almost in real time the hardware, so the Colibri will be able to support data.
Okay.
I received just another question concerning Colibri. So how flexible Colibri is to integrate with other systems? So to be also very clear with this question, by default, when you buy Colibri, what you will be able to do is to do the import by yourself using flat file, and especially an Excel file. So in Colibri, when you buy Colibri, we give you all the documentation explaining you how the default integration is working. So you will have to fulfill an Excel file in a specific format, and you will have the possibility to upload it by yourself within Colibri. Some customers are very happy with that, but some other one ask us to integrate it directly to their ERP. So you will have to, in this specific case, we do a small project defined especially to integrate Colibri directly with ERP. But by default, in the tools, you can use Colibri only by using the default integration, which is a Excel file. Also, it accepts XML file format. We use Excel file because it's more convenient for a user to, when you don't have an IT department, it's very easy to use Excel, but XML format is also working, yes.
And how quickly will it take to do the implementation once you get your files?
To import data within Colibri, it's very easy. It takes, let's say, for a database, as I showed you before, as I said before, with 100,000 combination, which is a huge number of combination, it takes around 10 minutes to integrate all the historical data and to build the hierarchy. So it's very, very fast.
Is this something that you would help a customer with, assuming that they go ahead and want to implement Colibri? Would you?
Yes, definitely. This is not our purpose to let the customer working alone. So when you buy Colibri, you have 5 days support from our team, and especially me and my colleague, who will support and train, of course, all the people to do the importation by themselves. But the import is quite straightforward, and it's very easy to do it. And all the documentation is also available. So we will be here, of course, at the side of the customer to help him to do the import.
Okay, well, I think it was the last question that we received. So we are about to conclude today's webinar. On behalf of VISEO and the entire Colibri team, I would like to thank you for your time and your participation. Now, on your screen, you have everyone's contact information, so do not hesitate to go ahead and call us or email us if you need additional information about Colibri. And of course, you see here a link to our LinkedIn group, so go ahead and join. Feel free to share best practices and articles and such about your profession. That group is built for that. And if you need additional questions, as I said, do not hesitate to contact us. Thank you again for your time, and you have a very nice day. Bye-bye.